These are this afternoon's top stories. Blackout at Marriott blamed on contaminated fuel, Guyana authorities trying to find a solution to the squatters' crisis, and Olympic doctor at the center of a sexual abuse scandal. Good afternoon. Welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Friday, December 2nd, 2016. I am Shaira Flanders. Nationally, a blackout at the Marriott Resort on Wednesday has led to officials of the Royal Utilities St. Kitts holding a meeting on Friday with their fuel provider over what they say is contaminated fuel. Royal Utilities provides electricity to the Marriott property and uses fuel bought from a local supplier. General Manager for Royal Utilities, Jerry Moyes, said the fuel they have been using has been causing problems for some time, and on Wednesday, the fuel filters were clogged and caused the engine to malfunction.
We've been experiencing some fuel problems for the past year, and it's been getting progressively worse. And we did bring it to the attention of our fuel provider, starting about 2 months ago, stating, man, we have some problems here. What can you do? What are you doing? What's changed? How come the fuel is getting worse? How come our gas mileage is getting worse? And it slowly got worse and worse until eventually we hit a blackout last night. We opened up the engines. Every single fuel filter is plugged up solid.
Moyes said he sent off a sample to be analyzed and the results are unsettling.
It appears that the fuel provider is blending 3, 4, 5 different fuels together and selling it to the people of St. Kitts and to the Marriott.
Mr. Moyes said due to legal reasons, he could not give the name of his supplier, but ZIZ will follow this story and find out what comes out of that meeting scheduled for today. The Ministry of Health is hosting a condom drive today as part of activities organized to commemorate World AIDS Day. National AIDS Program Coordinator Gardenia Distang Richardson said the condom drive is another protective strategy being implemented by the National AIDS Program.
We're going to be doing demonstrations, we're going to be giving giveaways, and we're really encouraging persons to come out and be a part of this. If you're going to be engaging in sexual activity, you need to either do the tests, know your HIV status, protect yourself one way or the other. And so on Friday, we'll be offering persons the opportunity to come and get tools to protect themselves, which is the knowledge and the actual condoms so that they can use to protect themselves.
The Ministry of Health's awareness campaign held a national testing day event on Thursday and gave the public the opportunity to get a free HIV test using the rapid testing method. The condom drive is an all-day event currently ongoing at Independence Square. The Citizenship by Investment program is going through an evolution, says Les Khan, CEO of the CBI unit. He made the comment while appearing on the radio television program Working for You on Wednesday. Mr. Khan said that currently the program's focus is on rebranding to make it more attractive, while at the same time maintaining the highest standards of due diligence. The government has approved financing and hiring of a marketing provider, which is now working with the CIU to rebuild the website. He added that there will now be an accelerated application process, which is a fast-track process for persons wishing to make investments. He said this gives the program an edge over other CBI programs. Mr. Khan also emphasized that St. Kitts and Nevis is positioned, quote, nicely, and as it stays on point, the CIU will ensure that this continues. The Ministry of National Security is requesting that employers who have not settled outstanding fees owing for work permits should do so immediately. Fees are payable within 10 working days of receiving the approval for work permit. Information out of government headquarters states that requests of renewal of work permits for 2017 are to be made no later than December 15th. Copies of the employer's Social Security contributions for the employee must be submitted along with the renewal request and must be up to date. No new applications or renewals would be considered until outstanding work permit fees are settled in full. Employers are that it's illegal to employ a person who does not have legal status in the Federation, and this carries a fine of up to $10,000, a year in prison or both. Persons applying for annual and temporary residence must present themselves at the Secretariat. Third-party applications will not be accepted.
We are 100 feet up in the air.
Whoa, monkey platter.
The donkey want water. Bring back your daughter. Bring back your water.
I think the next generation is a great motivator. I'm not done yet. You know, I'm far from done.
Up and out, please bring your chest. Bring your chest. Bring your chest. Man down.
Let me go! Mama, yeah, mama, yo, this is Shaggy, and you're watching the Tony Thorne Show. Yeah, #1, Mr. Lover Sessa. Alright.
Tune in.
Yes, yes, we infecting more.
Hi, I'm Carla Burridge. Join me weekdays at 7 p.m. for Zeliza's evening newscast. We'll let you know what's happening in your community.
On the regional scene in Guyana, the Central Housing and Planning Authority is on a campaign to remove squatters from government lands and reserves while working to create livable, affordable housing units for squatters at the same time. Royden James has that story.
Minister in the Ministry of Housing, Valerie Sharp Patterson, on Thursday evening told the Nightly News that the Housing Department will no longer tolerate squatters on government lands. She says squatter settlements are being established with such frequency that they contribute to the scarcity of land availability.
Squatting is illegal, and despite the fact that we've been appealing to persons to have some patience, yes, we are looking at having available house lots allocated and all that. Persons continue to squat. Now, we have done surveys in all the squatter settlements, and we have taken on board the number of squatters in each squatter settlement, and we've been appealing to persons not to go and add to what we already have.
The minister said that to ease this problem, the government is looking at the question of creating affordable housing so that persons who squat can settle legally.
Sometime, I think probably about 2 months ago, I was on television and I spoke about us looking at what kind of housing dwelling we can put in place for squatters. We've identified lands, particularly in Region 4. We are now designing low-cost housing for the squatters because we have to remove many of them from where they are.
When President David Granger took office back in May of 2015, persons were involved in taking lands, particularly on the east coast of Demerara. The minister noted that persons who continue to occupy those lands will certainly lose those plots.
We cannot condone this kind of activity. So in order for us to bring order to the city and to our country, we have to deal with squatter settlements and squatters in a very aggressive manner.
Minister Patterson Sharp said that while squatting is a countrywide thing, it is found to be extensive in Sophia. Royden James, HGP Nightly News.
Still in Guyana, crime statistics are not manufactured by police, says the Public Security Minister, who renewed confidence in the police forces after being challenged by a number of public figures. Here's more.
Public Security Minister Kemraj Ramjatan is once again defending the Guyana Police Force crime statistics, which show the decrease in criminal activity across Guyana. Police in their latest statistics noted that there have been 119 murders in 2016, as opposed to 149 during the same period in 2015. There were 638 reports of robbery under arms in 2016, as opposed to 670 in 2015. These figures, according to Minister Ramjatan, are not manufactured.
That it is not as if people are not reporting crimes. Quite frankly, people are reporting more now than before, because they feel a renewed confidence in the police force. And so those naysayers, if I may say so, who are giving the impression that we are manufacturing the statistics, that's not true. And this administration or this ministry or the Commissioner of Police and Crime Chief and all those involved in law enforcement are not going to do that.
The minister was speaking at the signing of an agreement between the Guyana government and the European Union for the Seaport Corporation that seeks to equip Guyanese to crack down on maritime offenses such as drug trafficking. It was the private sector commission which had first questioned the rationale used by the force to produce figures that crime is waning. Then Acting Police Commissioner David Ramnarine had dismissed claims by the PSC, saying they are preposterous.
But it's just that because I think we are doing a better job of it now, some people don't like that, and especially in the context of catching more criminals now. That has happened because of a public relations improvement. People are speaking, coming forward, giving their statements, but also a better training of our policemen.
Ramjatan posited that the solving of serious crimes is having a deterring effect as well on the criminals.
That is why we can get piracy down to almost zero. That is why the major interdictions at Gateroy, with hundreds and hundreds of acres of marijuana being eradicated through burning the fields and all of that, and the intelligence work by Kanu officials in catching so many people. And, you know, that is serving as a deterring effect too. And that is why it's down. So there's nothing I can do if people don't want to believe my statistics. Absolutely nothing.
Crime Chief Wendell Blanham told reporters that in every one of the 11 categories of serious crimes, the force has been able to record a reduction.
We have 11 categories of serious crimes, and our most prevalent offense is breaking into larceny. We have 1,200 on a yearly basis that are reported and recorded. And this year we had a significant dent in breaking into larceny figures, apart from which would have had a significant impact on our overall figures.
Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
And on the international scene, Dr. Larry Nassar was a doctor for Olympians at USA Gymnastics, the sport's governing body, for 29 years. He is, however, at the center of a sexual abuse scandal after he was charged in Michigan with sexually assaulting an unnamed nationally ranked gymnast for years, starting from the age of 6. Al Jazeera's John Hendren has that story.
He stands accused as one of the most prolific child molesters in sporting history. For 29 years, Larry Nassar was a doctor for U.S. Olympians at USA Gymnastics, the sport's governing body in the U.S.
All three of these are punishable as felonies with any number of years up to life in prison.
Last week, he was in Michigan with sexually assaulting an unnamed nationally ranked gymnast for years, starting when she was 6. Now, a lawyer for 15 other alleged victims tells Al Jazeera they are suing Nassar and Michigan State University, where he's a professor. They estimate there could be more than 100 victims across the U.S.
He was reaching under their leotards or under their clothes with ungloved hands, without consent, without prior knowledge, without another adult in the room, and in many cases digitally penetrating them.
Nassar is far from alone. Over 10 years, USA Gymnastics compiled reports on sexual misconduct complaints against 54 coaches, but has declined to release them.
It doesn't matter who you're protecting. It doesn't matter that they're part of your organization and you want to save face. How about saving me?
Kaylin Maddox-Brisky's story was among dozens uncovered in an investigative series by the Indianapolis Star newspaper.
Based on depositions from those officials, based on documentation that we do have, that they were aware of many allegations of child sexual abuse that they did not report to authorities.
This gym is now under new ownership, but it used to be run by Marvin Sharp. He was named 2010 Women's Coach of the Year. USA Gymnastics got a detailed complaint about Sharp in 2011 saying he inappropriately touched young girls. But it didn't report him to police until 4 years later after a second complaint. After he was charged last year, Sharp killed himself in jail. In a lengthy statement to Al Jazeera, USA Gymnastics says it has hired a former U.S. prosecutor to review its handling of sexual misconduct complaints. The organization said, quote, "If USA Gymnastics reasonably suspects or becomes aware of sexual abuse, the organization encourages those affected to contact local child protection services or law enforcement, assists in making contact with authorities, and/or contacts law enforcement or child protection services directly." Victims and their families say, as USA Gymnastics has remained silent, the number of abused girls has risen. John Hendren, Al Jazeera, Indianapolis.
The U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has named a retired Marine General, James Mattis, to be the next Secretary of Defense. Trump made the surprise announcement at a victory rally in Ohio.
It was an unexpected announcement at an unexpected venue. President-elect Donald Trump announcing his pick for Secretary of Defense.
We are going to appoint Mad Dog Mattis as our Secretary of Defense. But we're not announcing it till Monday, so don't tell anybody.
The Marine General retired in 2013 as Chief of U.S. Central Command. He's known for his strategic and aggressive stance against foreign adversaries, particularly Iran. Mattis has often been critical of Washington for lacking an overall strategy in the Middle East. Trump compared him to one of America's most revered and toughest World War II generals.
They say he's the closest thing to General George Patton that we have, and it's about time. It's about time.
Trump made the announcement at his first big post-election rally, billed as a thank you to voters in the swing state of Ohio, who helped deliver Trump's surprising White House win. Trump also delivered his expected nationalist message and announced as president he will repeal President Obama's signature legislation, Obamacare.
We are repealing and replacing Obamacare.
It's exactly what Trump supporters like Chris and Dick Woodard wanted to hear. They drove for 4 hours and then waited in the cold for another 2 to hear Trump's promise of bringing back jobs. Earlier in the day, Trump toured an air conditioning plant in Indiana that was destined to ship 1,600 jobs to Mexico. But with promised tax breaks, Trump convinced the plant to keep more than half the jobs in the United States.
I think that he's probably accomplished more in 4 weeks than what any other president has accomplished in their first 100 days of office.
It was a major post-election speech to a significantly smaller crowd than Trump was accustomed to on the campaign trail. The last time he spoke in Cincinnati, more than 15,000 turned out. This time, the stadium in parts was visibly empty. Kimberly Helkett, Al Jazeera, Cincinnati, Ohio.
And now for the weather. Present weather is cloudy. Winds are calm with gusts from the east to southeast. Seas are slight to moderate with waves reaching 4 to 6 feet. Small craft operators and sea bathers should continue to exercise caution. Temperatures today will peak at 80 degrees Fahrenheit. The weather forecast for St. Kitts and Nevis today predicts sunny to partly cloudy skies with isolated showers. Tonight is expected to be fair to partly cloudy with isolated showers. Sunset today will be at 5:36 p.m. and the sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:25 a.m. That brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Shaira Flanders. Have a good one.